Okay, this last one right here, you can look at it. You can see there's some kind of reflection, right? It appears that it's reflecting across. Go with green. Looks like it's reflecting across right here, right? But it's still got a reflection. Now the reflection is either over the x-axis or y-axis. That's always how you describe it. Given that this is a horizontal line, could it be over the y-axis? No, that's when it's the up or down one. So the x-axis is the one that moves left or right, right? It's a horizontal line, so that one's the one that this is going to be reflected over. Okay, took care of the reflection. Now I can also see that my original asymptote is here, but my new asymptote is here. Well, when the asymptote moves, that's a vertical shift, and it's moved from 0 to 3, which is up 3. And that's it for that one. So reflections, I think, are very visual. You can see the whole, if I cut it here, what does it look like? What does this look like? That kind of stuff. And then look at asymptotes, and it can tell you if it's been shifted up or down. Okay, here's your cheat sheet. This will be online. You'll get a copy of this on paper. But this is your reference guide. If you look at a graph and this has happened, somebody's added 5 to it, then you know it's a vertical shift up. This is a description of it. Adding outside, you'll hear me say those words a lot. If it has subtracted outside, like right here, then you've done a vertical shift down. So you're going to keep referring back to this because these are examples and let you know what to look for. So we are talking about these ones, and these ones, but we'll say vertical stretch and shrink until next time. Okay, so that's a reference sheet, and you're going to go back to it. Remember, reflections are negatives, right? Sign changes is what it's called right here. Change the signs inside. Notice that word. You'll see inside a lot. Inside's always backwards. Don't forget that. Always backwards. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to give you an original, and I'm going to give you a transformed one, and you have to tell me how it's transformed. So we look at that. I go, okay, originally it was just the 3 with the little x. Now I've subtracted 4. Subtracted 4 outside. That's the key word right there, outside. If it had been up in the power on the x, then it is quote unquote inside. So I'm going to go back to my reference. I'm going to say, okay, I subtracted outside, which means I had a vertical shift down. So I'm going to describe it as a vertical shift down. And then I say, well, how far did I shift it down by? Oh, you subtracted 4, so you went down 4. Okay, this next one. I look and I compare, this is the original, this is the new one. It looks like we have now subtracted 1 inside. Inside meaning up in the power. Okay, look back at my cheat sheet. Looks like it says here that it's subtracting inside. So my change is a horizontal shift right. So I would say horizontal shift right 1. That's how much I subtracted. I was inside, so that meant it was either left or right. It was right because I was subtracting, and 1 was the number that I subtracted by. Okay, let's look at this next one. Here's the original. Here's the new one. Now I noticed 2 changes. This change right here, where I added 1 outside. And I also see this change right here, where I added 3 inside. All right, well, what does it mean to add 1 to the outside? Like my cheat sheet, added outside's right there, so it's going to be a vertical shift This one will be a vertical shift. I added, which means up, and I added a 1. Now, as far as the adding 3 inside, that means, see, reference sheet, added inside, that means I went left, horizontal shift, left, and then since I added 3, it's a horizontal shift of 3. Okay, next one. Here's my original. Doesn't matter that the base is e. I don't know if you guys remember that. That's the special natural exponential function. Doesn't matter. All I'm looking at is this side was e to the x. This side is now e to a negative x. And I've added 5 on there. So there's 2 changes that have been made. One of the changes is, again, this subtracting 5 outside. So I subtracted 5 outside. Outside meaning at the end of the function. Okay, I don't even have to look anymore. I know that that's a vertical shift down 5. Okay, let's talk about this negative sign though. Back here on our cheat sheets, the negative has to go with reflections, and it's either going to be over the x or over the y. Now, what's the difference between them? Is the negative outside, meaning out in front this time, or is it inside, which again, inside means up in the power. So looking at that example, it looks like it's inside and it's a negative. So a negative inside, meaning up in the power. That negative means a reflection. And then we would say over, back to cheat sheet, looks like when it's inside, and it looks just like that except for it's got a different base, then that's going to be over the y-axis. So 2 things, looking at a graph and telling me what has happened, but also looking at a function and telling me what has happened. So vertical and horizontal shifts, and then reflections. And then we'll talk about the other half in part 2.